In a decision that has sparked widespread controversy and debate, President Joe Biden has leveraged his clemency power in what many consider to be one of the most contentious acts of his presidency. This move involved commuting the sentences of two individuals convicted of espionage for China and a third convicted of possessing child pornography, signaling a complex and murky chapter in U.S.-China relations and raising serious questions about justice, national security, and the ethical use of presidential clemency. Yet, let me tell you a note. They'll be complaining that Donald Trump has invited the president of China to come to his inauguration. Yet, look what Biden has done. The individuals involved, Yen Zhu, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing these wrong, a former high-ranking official within the Chinese Ministry of State Security, MSS. Zhu was convicted in 2022 for attempting to steal trade secrets related to the U.S. aviation industry. His method involved using aliases and front companies to lure American experts to China under false pretenses, followed by covert operations to extract sensitive information from their electronic devices. Zhu was sentenced to 20 years in prison, marking him as the first Chinese government intelligence officer extradited to the U.S. for trial. Ji Chak-kyun, also part of this espionage network, Chak-kyun was convicted in 2023 for conspiracy to defraud the United States, among other charges, including acting as an unregistered foreign agent. His role involved assisting Zhu in espionage operations, particularly in recruiting other Chinese nationals within the American aviation sector to spy for China. He received an 8-year sentence. Xiaoling Jin, unrelated to the espionage case but included in the clemency deal, Jin was convicted of possessing a staggering amount of child pornography. His commutation has attracted particular scrutiny because it seems disconnected from the espionage narrative unless one considers the influence of his family connections within the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. Jin's sentence was for 97 months, reflecting the severity of his crime. Now let's talk about the nature of the clemency. Prisoner swap. This clemency was not an act of mercy in the traditional sense, but part of a prisoner exchange between the U.S. and China. The decision to include these three men in the swap was ostensibly to secure the release of American citizens held in China. However, the specifics of why these particular individuals were chosen remain largely undisclosed, adding to the controversy. With the conditions of the release, each of the three had to leave the U.S. immediately upon release with a permanent ban on re-entry, illustrating that this was not a pardon absolving them of their crimes, but a communication with stringent conditions. They also were prohibited from profiting from any publicity surrounding their cases. So the public and political has reactions, of course. National security concerns is the commutation of these sentences for Zhu and Xiaoling have raised alarms about national security, particularly in how it might signal the foreign powers that espionage against the U.S. could be less severely punished in exchange for political or diplomatic gains. I remember a long time ago when real espionage meant, the gallows, the firing squad, the electric chair, And there's moral and ethical questions. Granting clemency to Jen, especially given the nature of his crime, has provoked a significant backlash, and critics argue this move undermines the justice system's integrity, suggesting that political considerations might override moral and legal accountability. And of course, as always, there's a lack of transparency. The secretive manner in which this clemency was enacted has fueled distrust. The absence of clear justification or public discussion about the decision-making process behind such actions questions the transparency expected in a constitutional republic. And with this becomes political implications. This decision has been used by political opponents to criticize Biden's administration for being soft on crime and national security, potentially affecting public perception and the narrative around his presidency's end. I'm going to leave you with some final thoughts. The act of commuting these sentences, particularly in the context of a prisoner exchange, opens up a Pandora's box of ethical, legal, and security issues. It underscores the complexities of balancing diplomatic relations with justice, the protection of national interests with the integrity of the legal system, and this move by Biden not only tests the boundaries of presidential clemency, but also invites scrutiny into how much powers are used, especially when they interact with international politics and the protection of citizens' safety. But on a personal note, when Donald Trump decides to pardon the J6 prisoners, political prisoners, and other things that he will do as president, when they try to bark impeachment or they try to gripe, all we have to point to is, look what Biden did. And here's a video to leave off this segment. Biden pardons 39 people, commutes sentences of 1,500 others. Watch this video.
I can't name a single...
Outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden said on Thursday that he was pardoning 39 people convicted of nonviolent crimes and commuting the sentences of nearly 1,500 others who were serving long prison terms. The White House said the clemencies granted by Biden were the most ever in a single day. The move comes over a week after the president signed an unconditional pardon for his son Hunter. Officials said last week that the White House was listening to demands for Biden to extend the same grace to thousands of people wronged by the U.S. judicial system. Biden said in a statement the people to whom he granted clemency would have received shorter sentences if charged under today's laws. Experts say the commutations announced were for those who were placed on home confinement during the COVID-19 pandemic to slow the spread of the virus, rather than many individual civil rights groups have been advocating for. The president said his administration will continue reviewing clemency petitions and that he would take more steps in the weeks ahead. Meanwhile, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, who takes office on January 20th, has said he would act on his first day in office to pardon rioters involved in the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, further building expectations for a broad granting of clemency.
Bringing you the news that matters. It's time to do right, think right, go right, be right for America and to make the world great again. Go right with Peter Boykin, constitutionalist for liberty, bringing you the news that matters. Do right, think right, go right, be right for America. Let's make the world great again. Tune in to Go Right News, let freedom begin. Go right, be right. For America, let's make the world great